And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
The idea of ice flow is a very exciting one, in a sense. I mean, I think the theme is great. And this picture doesn't look exciting as that guy's running away from the polar bear, chasing him. Wow, you know, that. And I was really excited to try this game out. An exciting game of jumping from ice flow to ice flow and going and excitement. And, well, that's really not what the game's like at all. Actually, the game's more of a brain burner. Players are attempting to get their explorers, the little guys here, more meeples, across the ocean between Alaska and Siberia and get from one to the other, jumping from ice flow to ice flow. Let's look at the board a little bit. All right, here we see the board, and players are basically trying to get their workers from one of these stations over here. For example, here's Wales, and get them over here to one of the stations in Siberia. And they're doing that with these really cool ice flow pieces. These look very similar to the water tiles from Heroescape, but these ice pieces will be, scattered across, and you'll see different ones. They'll start the game on the board, and occasionally ice flows will have fish on them. There's a fish piece, or this rope, little red sticks, or the dastardly polar bears, or some combination of the above. And what players are attempting to do is to get across. Now on a player's turn, they can move ice flows, and there's little arrows on the board that show how an ice flow will move and how far it moves, depending on how many arrows there are. They can rotate an ice flow, or they can put a new ice flow out on the board. When they put a new ice flow out on the board, they will draw a card, and that card will tell you what you put on the card. On the ice flow, for example, this ice flow has 1 fish, while this ice flow has 2 fish and a rope. So players have to follow after players do something with the ice flow, they can move their explorer if they want to, but they don't have to. But if they do, they have to follow certain rules. If you look closely at this ice flow piece, you'll notice that some of the edges are jagged, and to get across those, players have to use a rope. And so that's the whole point of rotating the ice flows. And each ice flow is different. You'll see this one has the jagged edges over here, while this one has 3 different jagged edges around the whole thing. And so there's different kinds of ice flows. Polar bears, you basically have to use fish to distract these guys, or else you can't go on them. Your ice flow can never go off the board. You stop at the edge of the board, and you're basically trying to get from one to the next. And to get that is actually more difficult than it sounds, because while there's a fish and rope on the board, you need those in actually pretty decent supplies, and you have to get those, line the ice flows up just right, be able to move on your turn and get over here without helping out the other players. So, in a sense, that's the goal of the game. Get from here over to here. And there's a spot here where you can put cards, the cards of the game, and the cards are nice, and there's also a reference card included with the game that shows you what tile actions you can do, and then on the back it shows you what you need to do to fight against different things. Or you need to use a rope here, you need to use a fish for a polar bear, or a fish for a hole in the ice, and so on. And then on this side, you have little spots where you can put all the pieces. There's a lot of little wooden pieces in the game, and it actually adds to the theme. Do I like it? Well, that's actually more of a tricky question. My first playing of it, I actually did not like it. I was on jet lag at the time at Origins, and I was sitting there and thinking, please somebody win. Because really, it's a game that requires a lot of thought, a lot of foreplanning. You actually have to get these tiles, you have to move them to the right spot, try and figure out where they're going to move, who else might move them, what things you'll need, and then kind of just deal with all the other ones. And you have to get 3 of these people across. You get 1 across, you're like, woohoo! But there's still 2 more to go. So if you're tired, cranky, or don't like brain-burning games, then don't even try this thing. However, if you're like a puzzle-type game, like Ricochet Robots or Robo Rally, this is a good one. I mean, the idea of the ice flows moving around is interesting. The idea of using fish and rope to get to where you want to go, that's fun. My only caveat with the theme, I think the theme fits really well. But the box makes it look so exciting. And I was really hoping that you could get eaten by the polar bears, or your ice flow could go crashing off or sink. You just can't die. And I wouldn't mind it if you could, at least if you go back to start and come over again. So there's a little bit of a lack of it. I guess I would even say there's a lack of excitement. The game just isn't exciting. It's interesting, and it's fun for people who like puzzles. But it's not a kind of game where you're going to sit there and go, I hope the ice floe doesn't go off. Like in Niagara, there's always a chance your boat will fall off the edge of the thing. Or in other games, there's always a chance that the shark will come. Whatever the game might be, that's just not here. This is more of a calm thinking game. Okay, I'm going to move this here. I'm going to move that over there. I'm going to make sure I have enough fish, to cover these polar bears over there. And I don't mind that. But I'm only going to play this at certain times. Only when I'm really in the mood to play something that's more of an analytical, logical game. So for that, if you're looking for that sort of thing, this is one of the best and with some of the nicest components I've seen in the game in a long time. These clear tiles just are fantastic. The board's well decorated. The different wooden pieces are fine. But if you're looking for excitement, that's not inside the box. So for you, fun equals excitement, give it a pass. But for you, fun means thinking pretty hard and at the same time playing a game that doesn't take too long, just in a race sense, then this is something I would highly recommend for you.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.